Hi people, I'm Stacy. I'm back. This is my 9th film for you guys to look at. When I set up to do this film, I happened to look out the window behind me and see something remind me of one of the incidents that happened. It's really kind of funny, but this is what really happened. Let me step aside and I will show you something. Can you see? Let's see, how do I do this? Out there, right out in there is a swing set. It's right out there. Okay. There's a swing set out there I had for my kids when they were younger. And it's been in the yard for quite a while. Used to have a sliding board beside of it. It's not there anymore. The swing set's pretty much well fallen apart. Anyway, the story behind the swing set is, one time me and Sharon left here early in the morning, and I guess she went shopping or something, and I went and did something else. I don't remember what it was. It's been a while back, and we can't quite remember the full details. Remember this part though. Anyway, Sharon came home long before I did, and when she came home, she was with Josh, and they come in the house here, and she's washing dishes, cleaning up the kitchen, and started hearing all kind of commotion out back. And didn't know what to think about it. So finally she just decided to go ahead and look out the window and see what she could see. And the swing set was thrown across the yard. I had a pedestal which you fill with water for a kick dummy for martial art thing. And it was laying out in the yard. It was rolled up against the house. It banged up against the house. And just as she looked out the window, she could see two small, much smaller Bigfoot critters going down over the hill. That's out back here. She didn't know what to think. And like, that's kind of a violent thing to come out of them. We've never had that before. So I got here a little bit later in the afternoon. I come in and she told me what was going on, and I'm like, oh boy, this could be a problem. I've never had any problems with them. That time I was going out and talking to them. Didn't have a real tight relationship with them, but I was communicating with them. Anyway, I had a friend, his name is Brad. He was tied up with the BFRO at the time. I don't know what he's doing now, but he was tied up with the BFRO, and I talked to him about a lot of things that goes on around here, and he couldn't hardly believe some of them I was telling him. I don't even think he did believe me, but they're starting to find out things that I said way back when. There's things that they're finding out to go on now. So anyway, I had Brad's number. I knew he was tied up with the BFRO, and I don't know what was involved with it. I don't know how far they are because I haven't got tied up with them. But I called Brad at the time when I got back in here, and Sharon told me what happened. I called him, and I told him, Brad, have you ever heard of any of this? Because it kind of worries me. Like, they're tearing things up and they're throwing a fit. And like, I've never had none of that happen before. So I didn't know it, but Brad was at a BFRO meeting. Okay, so he told me to hang on for a second. So I hung on to the phone, and this woman got on the phone, and if I'm not mistaken, her name was Colleen. She got on the phone, and I explained to her what had happened. I tried to tell her the scenario of what I'm putting up with out here was having to deal with the Foots being here, not understanding everything about them. But back then, I've learned a lot since then, but back then I didn't really understand a lot. Excuse me. Anyway, I'm explaining to her what went on, and she's picking this scenario apart, and she's figuring it out right on the phone. Her scenario to this was that me and Sharon left here together, and when Sharon came back, I wasn't with her. They didn't like that. They was really throwing a fit because I never came back with Sharon. So, okay, that's kind of good, but it's kind of bad. I mean, that means that like they're wanting to see me, and they want to know where I was at. Well, that's good. But as far as them tearing things up and being all upset, that's another story. I've never had them two back here. I've had a lot of other ones, but I've never had them two back here. I've never seen no young ones around here except for them two. It was here that day. Anyway, that was just one of the little things. That swing set back there is the one I'm showing you. Is the one they slung across the yard. It used to have a sliding board on it, but when they slung it across the yard, they tore the sliding board off of it. They didn't hurt my kick dummy pedestal. It's still around. But anyway, you know, they were just showing their butts. I have a set of stair steps out there in the yard that I took like a playhouse for kids. I had a little boy at the time. I had a little boy. And I brought this playhouse home from where I picked up at work and put this big plastic playhouse on top of these steps out there. These steps went beside of a trailer at a business. You go up about 3 or 4, I think it's 3 steps. You go up and there's a landing, and you go into a side door into the trailer. Well, this thing fit on there perfect, so I put it up there for the kids to play with. I figured if it's up there, I wouldn't get snakes in it or nothing else. And they got up there, you know, my grandkids come play in it sometimes. But anyway, one time I come home. Now, these steps were really in good shape. They're made 2x6s and really good steps. So one afternoon I happened to come home, and I was cutting the grass, and I happened to look over, and one of the steps was all broke. It was smashed and broke. I'm like, what could have done that? I just couldn't believe it was tore up. But also, at the top on the landing was a little pile of half-eaten, a bunch of acorns up there, and half of them was eaten, half of them wasn't, but they were acorns up there. Now, knowing what I know now, I believe one of the foots went up there. I don't know if it was a small one or whatever one it was, but it had to have been heavy. Went up there on that step, propped his butt up on that step to eat his acorns, and broke my step. I mean, it's no big deal. There's things really not of any value to anybody other for the kids to play on, but it was just amazing how this got broke. I mean, I could have put a car motor on top of it and never broke it, but it was broke. I still got that out there. I might take pictures of it and try to get you pictures of that sometime. I have a lot of pictures. I have a lot of pictures of things that, well, we have taken some pictures around here, and they've been in different devices, and we haven't really made records. Like I say, I'm not a researcher. I don't know how to make records of all this stuff, and I don't even know how to take the pictures from a camera to put them on a computer to show you. I had to figure all this out. But I'll try to get this all figured out where I can show you pictures of things that have went on. Another thing that happened one time, at one time I had like 3 Suburbans. And one of them was a white one. And we had it parked out in the field. Remember, I think I showed you where that field goes around. We had to keep the grass cut, and that's where the foots run. But anyway, this one Suburban was just sitting out in the middle of the field for a while because the driveway was getting clogged up with all the vehicles. So one night I'm out here talking to them. They were out here, and I went out here talking to them. And I noticed there's one out in the field because I can hear where he's chirping. That's what they did with me. They just give these little chirps and make certain noises I could hear. They never growled. We only heard a growl out of them one time. I'll tell you about that later. But there was always little peaceful little chirps and mimics and all kind of little things they do to communicate with us. Well, anyway, one was out in the field out there in the other woods, and I'm talking to him, and he's communicating back with me. And then I can see him moving. He's in the shadows. I can see him moving. And he got up behind that white Suburban. So I didn't think nothing about it, and I'm sitting there, and I'm talking to him. Me and Sharon was out on the porch with me at the time. We're saying, telling each other, yeah, he's back there behind that Suburban. She knew it too. We didn't know who it was, which one it was, or anything else. Like I said, there's a lot of them been here. But he's behind that Suburban. And we talk, and there's still some over on the side as always. There's always some over here on the one side, and there's some out deeper in the woods that talk. Some of them get close, some of them don't. Anyway, I go out and I talk to him, and this, that, and the other, and the evening was over and went on. I don't know what else happened that evening, but a few days later, I decided to take that Suburban out. Now, like I said, my road out in front here was back then was all dirt road. They have kind of paved over it with rock and gravel and tar and stuff now, but it was just basically a dirt road. Well, I took the Suburban out, and I drove downtown to get something and come back and pulled the Suburban up here in the driveway by the house. And I'm out doing something, and I come back, and I look at the back of the Suburban, and I look up on the window. I have a perfect handprint on my back window. I have fur prints all over the back door. What I actually did was what the police do. They put their paws up there and got the grease on it. I went up and down the road, and I dusted a handprint, dusted a fingerprint. I got pictures of it. But this was because I went down this dirt road and come back. All the dust just flew and stuck to wherever they touched their hands and stuff. We thought that was funny in there. We do have a picture of that. I think we found it on one of the cameras or something. But I've got several pictures I got to find to show you. This just show you some of the stuff that went on around here. And sorry about the cough. But anyway, now here's another thing I want to talk about. Like I said, I watch a lot of things on TV about the Bigfoot and Yetis and all the other things from all the other lands that are all tied to the Bigfoot. Now, I want everybody that's paying attention to this, if you're involved in this at all, you have to look up about the Russian Yeti. Back in 1959, a bunch of campers and hikers, whatever you want to call them, they went out up there in Siberia. Why anybody would want to go out and camp in Siberia, I don't know, but that's where they went. And they're up by a place called Mountain of the Dead. This is in Siberia. And they all end up dead, except for one guy. One guy, I don't know what was going on. I half hear some of the stuff because they play music on these videos, and I don't hear over the music. But anyway, one guy, he left all the campers, and he went off on his own, which I would have never done, but he did. Anyway, the other 9 campers, they come back, they were all dead. They've all been smashed, and everything has happened to them. There's been a lot of investigation on it back then. Now they've done a recent investigation. They're doing some real serious digging into about this Yeti. They have a picture of the Yeti. They have a film of the Yeti. It's at a distance, but there's a lot to this that you really have to see it. The Yeti is basically the same as our American Bigfoot, but they have a different attitude. And this follows up with everything I've been saying. These people went out, got in their territory, and was in where they didn't belong. And from what I can gather, they probably had some kind of warnings from them to leave, and they didn't. And this is what happens. And this is why I'm trying to get everybody to understand. Don't mess with the things. Leave them alone. They'll not bother you. Just because you see them, they won't bother you. If you don't bother them. If you don't encroach their areas. Don't run up on them. And you know, when you go shooting them, it's crazy. Because there could be more and somebody will pay for it. Back in 1922, some miners shot one and they paid for it. They got run off. It's a wonder they all didn't get killed, but they didn't. But if you look at all the scenarios around the Bigfoot, they throw rocks at people. They try to scare people. It's like, just go away, is what they're telling you. Just go away. They don't come to our territory and harass us. You know, they just want to be left alone, and we need to respect that. Other than that, we can get along with them. The other thing I want to talk about was I have people that watch my videos that do put some comments on here. I think I get more than what I'm getting to view, because like my viewers, I'm getting hardly any. I'm stuck at the same subscribers. Nothing's climbing. I have people go out, because I introduce this video to a lot of people all the time. So I have different viewers coming in all the time on these videos, and my numbers never go up. I went to a restaurant one time, and there was 4 gentlemen sitting there. I don't know what they was talking about. I said, "Do you guys believe in Bigfoot?" Well, 2 of them jumped up and says, "Oh, yeah, and carried on, you know." So, okay. So I told them, look up my views, or my videos, so they could be on it for viewers. They all sat at their table, all 4 of them, at the same time, sat there and started viewing the whole thing. They wanted to see what I had. My views don't go up. I don't know where they go, but they don't go up. So I'm pretty sure I got more viewers and more subscribers than what I have. So if you can leave comments to what you're doing, pass this on as best you can. These messages I'm putting out are very, very important. Regardless of all these shows you see about the Bigfoot they can't find and this, that, and the other, the Bigfoot, I'm telling you what I've lived. And it's phenomenal, but it's all true. I'm still waiting for a polygraph. Somebody wants to polygraph me, I'm ready for it. So, thank you.